On today's episode of the Rice Crypto Show, I am joined by my friend, fellow content creator, and author, Ben Armstrong, the founder of BitBoy Crypto. And we're going to be talking about his upcoming book, Catching Up to Crypto, the FTX scandal, politics, XRP, and much more. Before we get into it, make sure you visit ricetvx.com and sign up for my mailing list so you never miss an update or new Rice TVX and Rice Against the Grain content. You will also find links to all of my various channels as well as my social media. Make sure you're following both of my YouTube channels, Rice TVX as well as Rice Against the Grain. And due to censorship, make sure you follow me on other alternative platforms such as Rumble and Odyssey, where I do post up exclusive content. If you want to support Rice TVX, be sure to check out and join my Patreon channel, where you will get early access to my videos with no ads, unedited. You will also get exclusive content and more. Get your free half ounce of silver. Take full advantage of my partnership with Money Metals Exchange in 5 easy steps. 1. Visit moneymetals.com. 2. Be a first-time buyer. 3. Purchase a minimum of $100. 4. Use the promo code RICE. 5. Get a free half ounce of silver, and it's an additional way to support the channel. I will include links in the video description for everything I just mentioned, as well as everything shared on today's video. Okay, joining me on today's show is a good friend, fellow content creator. He needs no introduction. Everybody knows this guy. I am joined by Ben Armstrong from BitBoy Crypto. What's going on, my friend?
A lot. What's going on? A lot. Thank you so much, Rise, for having me. Obviously, we've been good friends. We go back a long time in this space before anybody who knew either one of us were. So always good to come back and kick it with people that care, you know?
Well, I appreciate, man, and I appreciate your time because I know, like, with everything that's been going on with the FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried stuff, you were one of the first big channels to really push people away from that direction, kind of whistleblow, and then as time permitted, you had more information coming out. Because I know, like, when you first started mentioning it, you were treading a very careful line about what you can and can't say as far as like trying to disclose too much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this thing, it definitely didn't start out what it has become. I mean, when I first started, going at Sam, it was more about him trying to steal one of my politicians that backs my bill, and that he was going after a federal bit license. And so we found out about this federal bit license way before anybody else did. Nobody knew he was doing it at all until he put out his political manifesto. And even then, he tried to act like that wasn't what he was trying to do. It was only in the debate with Eric Voorhees where he started talking about licensure, and people started saying, holy crap, BitBoy's known about this for 5 weeks now. And I've been warning people about it. And so what happened at that point is people started sending me information, and it just kind of exploded. And so we actually had been working on the story of the insolvency with an NBC reporter about a week ahead of time. A week before CZ dumped FTT, we had been working on this story, and he front ran it when he did that and forced everything, really quickly. We warned people on October 29th. We warned people. I believe that's the day we actually met with the NBC reporter for the first time. And we told people, get your money off that. You are low IQ if you keep your money on there. You've got to take it off. And, thousands of accounts and millions of dollars were taken off the exchange because of that tweet. And because we had already talked in our chat or in my on my channel about dumping Solana and dumping FTT out of their portfolios. And it's definitely been really good. I've gotten at least 50 messages from people saying we saved their absolute life savings.
That's awesome, man. And I mean, I appreciate what you were doing. I mean, I kind of caught on quickly right when you started distancing yourself from FTX, from FTT, from Solana. I started really paying a lot of attention. I know that what's kind of sad about it, I appreciate you, being one of the biggest crypto YouTube channels helping to expose this information, but I didn't know, and I'm sure you didn't know, that there were projects that were screwed over that were trying to get information out for over a year and a half time.
Yeah, I mean, I just had Reef on my show, and they put out a blog post, March 15th, 2021, explaining what happened. And this is when you really get into the diabolical side of all this, of the evil of Sam and the evil of FTX. Man, that Reef story, I thought the new Genesis story is bad, and it is really bad. It's horrible. But that Reef story, where they literally tell them, FTX literally tells them, no, you cooperate and do what we're doing, or we'll destroy your project.
Yeah, no, it's alarming, man. And I definitely want to dig into the FTX stuff. And I know I want to be respectful of your time. I've got a lot I want to go over. But the first thing I want to talk about is you've got a book coming out. It's called Catching Up to Crypto. You want to talk about what inspired you to write this book, what it's about, and when it's coming out?
Yeah, absolutely. So we were approached about doing a book, right? By Wiley Publishing. And Wiley Publishing is also the author or the publisher of the Bitcoin Standard, which is the #1 crypto book of all time, or the Bitcoiners would tell you the #1 Bitcoin book of all time, which it is. And they said, man, you really have a good audience. You seem like you know what you're doing. We think you'd be a great candidate to write a book. And so we sat on that for about 2 or 3 months. And I did not want to put out a book just for the sake of putting a book out. Like, because I got a big name, we can sell books, so let's do it. And we really, as a team, sat down. We said, what does crypto need? Well, number one, there's not a crypto book. When I ask people, when I say, what are the top books in crypto that they're going to all name Bitcoin books. They're going to say Internet of Money. They're going to say Digital Gold. They're going to say Bitcoin Billionaires, which is my favorite personally. I've actually been in contact with Ben Mesrick this week, which is cool. And then, of course, Bitcoin Standard. That's what they're going to say. There's not a crypto book that really lays out the whole space and doesn't just focus on Bitcoin. And so we want to be that book. And we started saying, like, not only do we want to be that book, but we want to come up with the idea of how can we turn this book into something that is totally beneficial for the space. And so the idea is catching up to crypto. How many times, Rice, and you'll know this, how many times somebody came in your chat and you speak about crypto on, I don't want to say a low level. I feel like I speak on crypto on a low level. What I mean is, we're not talking over people's heads like some other channels do out there. We're trying to break it down. How many times you had somebody come in your chat and say, man, I know you're being simple, but I still don't understand this. Right?
No, a lot of people do. And I bring up the fact about do you understand how email works? Do you understand how this magical technology that we're using, where you're in Georgia and I'm in North Carolina, and we're able to have a conversation and visually see each other? I have no clue how that works.
Exactly. And so what we've tried to do is we've tried to take that gap. There's a gap that exists between people that are interested in crypto and then really truly being a beginner. And we know this from our BitLab Academy. Our beginner courses were way too advanced. And so we've really tried to pull it back and say, how can we simplify crypto in the most, in the simplest way for people to understand, to where they get perspective on history. They know where this stuff came from. They know what it consists of. They know what blockchain is. They know what trading is. We cover every game. They know what the top altcoins are. They know what layer ones are. And we really try to do exactly what the book says. We catch them up to crypto. If you haven't been here since 2012, like I have, this book will catch you up like you have been. And so that's Raoul Powell. Raoul Powell wrote the foreword for the book. So thank you to Raoul for doing that. And we think it's going to be a big hit. We're also doing a book tour. So last week of January, first week of February, last week of January, first week of February, we're going to, I think, 14 major cities. In between then, we're also doing a little second leg at the end of February. We're going to do New York City, Philadelphia, Miami, and London. And, what is that?
It's your video.
That's my video. I didn't even know. My editors, they did a great job. I don't watch my own videos. So.
No, I'm sure. But I mean, I'm promoting your video, talking about your book tour. Exactly. So people are interested in participating.
Yeah. So we're going to, but basically, if you live in the United States, we're going to a place near you in January or February. So we're going to do book signings. And if you buy the book in bulk, 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 copies, if you buy 100 copies of the book, you get to come out to the studio. We'll take you to lunch, hang out for a show all day. It'll be a really cool experience.
When does the book come out?
January 17th is the print date. That is when it actually gets printed. We're really encouraging people to get the pre-orders. You got to have the pre-order to come to the book tour. So the pre-orders are very important because they help us for the bestseller list. And so I'm really encouraging people to give this as stocking stuffers for, friends and family who might be interested in crypto. Just get them to print out the receipt from Amazon or Barnes & Noble. You give it to them and boom, and then you can get two. You get one for them and one for yourself, and then you can come to the book tour.
Nice one. And I'm definitely looking forward to checking out the book, man.
It's good. It's a really good book. On that. We're super, super proud of it.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the sales and how it performs, and
Yeah.
especially with the Bit Squad. I mean, you
Yeah.
you definitely have an army behind you. So let's see how it turns out.
Yeah.
Speaking of your army, this whole FTX debacle, you're doing a really good job trying to expose what's been happening
Mhm.
on from a project perspective with New Genesis, with Reef. I know you have, I think, the founder from ICP coming
Mhm.
on
Yeah, on
soon.
Friday.
So, I mean, you're doing a great job with that, but there's a lot of speculation, and I'm not sure like how you want to answer or where you're at with this because I see you're focusing on that side right now. But there's a lot of talk about funneling money via a Ukrainian partnership with FTX, funneling money back to
Mhm.
the Democratic Party, um, just as a big money laundering scheme.
Yeah.
We also have some potential real corruption within the SEC with Gary
Mhm.
Gensler possibly allowing for this to happen and even helping it to happen. What are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, so here's we've really been focusing, like refocusing the narrative here, because people want to go down the rabbit holes. They want to go down the rabbit trails, and I know you're a rabbit trail guy. I know you love to go down them. We've got to focus on the issue at hand, which is getting Sam arrested. Until Sam is arrested for what he's done, yeah, I don't think it's super advantageous to go down deep down those rabbit holes. So there will be a time on my channel where we really do it. Look, I'll tell you, the amount of people that have contacted me and given me information is astounding in the last few weeks. Former FTX employees, one of the main devs from FTX, just tons and tons and tons of information. And so I've got a lot on that stuff. I have a lot on the Ukraine. I have a direct line into the Ukrainian money laundering. I know it all. I know exactly where it
So
all
is
went. I see it all, but we're trying not to focus on that right now because we got to get Sam arrested first.
but you are saying that there is legitimacy to
Absolutely.
everything I mentioned.
There is 100% legitimacy to it, and this is going to end up being a disaster for the Democratic Party. It's going to be a disaster. This is not going to be something that's going to get swept under the rug, and you know that with the moving of the House. Now that Nancy Pelosi stepped down today, the House will be moving over to the Republicans. It means they're going to get access to all the committees and everything, and so I've got a good feeling that the Democrats are going to end up getting a taste of their own medicine for what they did, to Trump throughout his presidency. And it's going to center around a lot of these issues, which are the Democratic fundraising, because it's not just the money laundering is part of it. Okay. The Ukrainian money laundering is part of it, but it's the printing of money and the stealing of customer funds and using that for political donations to a party that a lot of the users don't support.
Right.
They stole your money and gave it to Democrats. And so if you're a Republican, you got to be livid about this. Now, look, they also did this to Republicans too. It's like a 40-1 difference, but there were some of those funds that went to support Republicans too. So no matter which party you support, FTX was stealing your funds to make political donations to the party that you don't support. And there's a lot of laws around that, a lot of sketchy stuff there. But all that stuff's going to come out. It's all true, but it's
But from your
got we got to get Sam arrested first, and that's how all this stuff can come out later.
Right. So, I mean, and that's kind of what I'm gathering is basically from talking to these projects that have collected evidence over a year and a half or longer time period. Do you feel like enough of these projects with enough substantial evidence is enough to bring about criminal charges, and then the other things can just kind of be added into the mix from there?
100%. Sam's going to prison. I don't see any way he stays out of prison. You guys have probably seen this narrative kind of change. He's just a quirky guy who made mistakes. That's him putting out that narrative. That's him pushing that narrative through lackeys that he has, like Kevin O'Leary and like the New York Times and Washington Post. He's worked with New York Times before numerous times, so none of that shocking. No, I've done a poll today on Twitter and on YouTube. Does Sam Bankman-Fried deserve a second chance in crypto or in finance? Both of those polls were 93 to 94%. No, he doesn't deserve a second chance. That 6% of people are either insane or they're paid off by him, So there it is right there. You can see 93.8.
Where's there
Right,
it is.
right there.
Okay. Yeah, I made sure I voted no, just so everybody sees.
Of
That's why I
course,
was
because any
sharing.
rational person would. And I think a lot of those 6% of people that would say yes, I think those are people that just believe everybody deserves a second chance. But I keep making the comparison. We're not saying he doesn't deserve a second chance for life or a second chance into integration into society. We're saying you don't let a child molester run a daycare. Like, that's what we're saying. Like, you don't let a financial predator run financial companies. That doesn't make sense. And so I think the 6% of people, even within that, if they really understood that comparison, I think they would still be on the side of, no, you're right. Actually, like, yeah, he should deserve to be able to live, but not to be in finance. I think a lot of people would actually end up agreeing with that. So they're trying to put out this narrative that that's what he is. And that's not what happened. You look at the predatory nature of him with Alameda and what they had done over years and years and years against projects. And it's absolutely criminal. Just from one person, I have enough evidence to put him away for probably a life sentence, to be honest with you. But I think what's fair, he should probably do 10 to 15 years in prison. That's probably what he should do. He should probably do 10 to 15 years in prison, get off, not ever allowed to be in finance again. And, that there's no way he stays out of prison here. A lot of people will tell you like, oh, well, look, he paid off the Democratic Party. They're going to protect him. They're not going to protect him. Why? And I know this for a fact because I know a very high level congressperson right now that has been in forever. This person is trying everything. Is a Democrat. This person is trying everything to get separated from Sam. They are separating from Sam. They may have supported him in the past in different ways, but people will say this was a false flag, that this was brought in to bring on crypto regulation. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
No.
CZ pulled the trigger on this too quickly, and it's in everything cascading. And so many of these politicians have so much egg on their face and they look so bad, they're going to separate. He's not going to be protected from these donations.
That's what I was saying. I was on Debate Crypto recently, just last night. We're recording this on the 17th of November. I'm going to be releasing it tomorrow. And you mentioned that on your video about the time that you think that Sam Bankman-Fried should serve, the 10 to 15 years. Yeah. And then you even mentioned Ross Ulbricht, and I appreciate you saying something in defense of Ross. So free Ross, check out Ross Ulbricht's information. You guys can go to freeross.org. So I know that you've talked about, and this is going to intermix with the next question. You've talked about the idea that SBF was working with politicians like Chuck Schumer to try to push through a federal BIT license, which is very similar to a New York BIT license, if not even more strict, but on a federal level instead of just state. What got you to want to get involved in the political game? And if I'm not mistaken, you sponsored a bill in California.
Yeah. Well, and we also have a federal one right now that we're still trying to get the funding for. That's
to be combative to offer something different than what was being pushed with Chuck Schumer, correct?
Right. Well, yeah, totally different. We'll get into that in a second. But what got me interested in politics is I love crypto. Like that's what it boils down to. And you see a lot of these YouTubers, right? And a lot of these influencers, they come in, they make their money, and then they leave, or they come in and then they want to become something different. Like, I don't want to just be a crypto person. I want to be this kind of person. No, guys, I love crypto. Like, that's what I love. We've tried doing stuff outside of crypto. My son has a YouTube channel here where I'll go play some video games with him and stuff like that's cool. But I don't want to leave crypto. I've got no endeavors to move on and be a politician and, or be like an influencer, like on Instagram. Like, I don't care about that. Like, I care about crypto. I care about decentralization. I care about the direction of the world. Like, that's what I care about. And so people came to me about the politics. Actually, I didn't go seeking this out. People came to me and basically said, look, we can tell what your passion is for this space. You have a big voice and you can really make a difference. And this is how we can do it together. And that excited me. I don't want to run for office. I want to stay on this side. I've been out to Sacramento. I've dealt with, the California House, the leadership, and seeing the way that they make laws and bills out there. It's not for me the way they do it. It's too slow. It's bureaucratic. It's red tape. It's let's wait till this person gets voted out or this person No, I can't handle that. But what I can handle is pushing the crypto legislation that makes sense for people. And so that's kind of how we got involved in politics. The right people having to reach out. And I've had a good time with it so far. It's been really cool getting on the backside of things and being able to see how things really actually work. And it'll blow your mind. It's a lot different than you probably think if you've never been involved in it. But one thing is, we have our California bill. So this is how we really got into it. So we went out, we met with Senator Hertzberg from California, former Senator Hertzberg, or the California Assembly. And I keep getting the language confused. He's been in the Assembly and the House, but whatever.
Was this the guy that you interviewed not too long ago?
Yeah, he's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. I think he was a senator.
Yeah, well, he was a state level. He ran for LA Council. We talked about in the interview. think he's going to end up losing. It looks like, according to the they're still counting votes in LA for the LA council position or what advisory board. He's barely behind by like 1.5%. So it could still change, but he's been in California politics for a long time.
He's a cool
smart
guy.
He is.
And he seemed pretty knowledgeable about crypto and excited
Absolutely.
about just introducing legislation just so he could talk about crypto in front of different politicians.
It was cool, right? So we went out to California to meet with him in Sacramento. I think it was back in March, maybe. And we went out there, and he ended up having to leave right before we got there because he ended up having to fly to like Burbank and sign something, or maybe it was LA, whatever it was. And so we met with his chief of staff, and what we realized is, well, the chief of staff or the Sacramento, they don't like influencers, because when Kanye or when Kim K came up there, or Jake Paul, whoever it is, I know Kim K's been up there, they come and they push an agenda, and they're like, wow, you really came out here and you actually listened to this bill. It's the records bill, the records on blockchain bill. They passed it in California after we looked at it and talked and gave them feedback. They passed it. I can't remember what is like digital ID records. It's vital records. It's vital records. I think it's marriage licenses. Maybe it's deeds and something. Birth.
That was
birth
one of the bills you were working on?
No, that was one we looked at. We didn't have anything to do with it. We looked at it. We gave them feedback, and we told them what we thought about it, and it's passed, which is cool. Okay. But the chief of staff was like, man, you guys really came in and just listened. Like, you didn't come trying to tell us what we need to do. And I was like, well, yeah, we just want to we want to be part of it. And so we left that meeting, and there were people, a lot of really excited about how we handled that situation. And they said, you need to start writing your own bills and pushing them on the state level. So we came up with, we waited for the bright idea. And then we came up with the Financial Education and Stability Act of 2022, which is SJR 16. It's still on the California docket. It hasn't been voted on yet. But what it does is change the accredited investor laws, so that all you have to do to become an accredited investor in California is take a test, a free test given by the state. Now, the accredited investor laws are still on a federal level. So what that means is we got to flip 37 states to get the federal law overturned. But I think we can do it. It's a long fight. Well, somewhere in the middle of this fight that we're doing, which, by the way, SBF stole some of the language from that SJR 16 for his manifesto, which is funny. But
wow.
Yeah, he literally stole some of our stats, like word for word. Like, he's so brazen when he steals stuff that it's obvious, because he's basically saying "F you" is what he's doing.
He's good at doing it, because I mean you were talking. There's so many people that still are kind of under the spell that he started out with good intentions, or he's not a bad guy at heart.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, they ask me, they say, what is it like to be like in the crosshairs of a billionaire? I guess we'll never know. Not a billionaire anymore.
Good one.
That's my favorite joke. I've used it like 9 times on the show because I love it so much. It's the Kanye. I guess we'll never know. But so somewhere in the middle of this battle, we got involved in federal legislation. So now we have a bill that basically I can tell you off air what it. I can tell you on air what it is, but because we can't, until we're registered, we can't talk about it. Well, we went to FTX for funding for our bill. Now, SBF, what he was trying to do with the federal bit license, he was trying to single-handedly control crypto legislation. We're trying to create a body that handles a regulation that has crypto representation on it. Like, that's basically the idea of what we're trying to do. I don't want to control crypto regulation. I don't want to make decisions on what's allowed and what's not allowed. I want to put people in that I trust, that are smart, that are going to represent crypto, even if I don't exactly agree with everything they believe. I know they're going to keep crypto in the space and the community's best interests at heart, right? So that's what we want. Somebody like Eric Voorhees would be perfect. Going would definitely toe that line. I don't know if he would do it because he's, I think he's kind of anti-government. But, the idea is the SBF wanted to do something totally different. Well, we found out about this because we went to them for funding. Because I didn't think Sam was a bad guy. Like, I could never make up my mind. Like, is he bad? Is he not? And I think a lot of people in the space were like that. I think that's intentional. But, we never took $1 from them. We've never. FTX has never been something on my channel that we've had affiliate links for, that we've that has sponsored us. They've never reached out. I think they've reached out to almost everybody else that was close to my size. But I think it's because I made fun of his haircut so many times that they never reached out. But it is a bad haircut, people will admit. You've got a great haircut, by the way, Rice.
Thank you.
You have a great haircut. Sam.
Your hair has taken some good shape lately.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That means a lot. Yeah. Means a lot.
Yeah.
So
nice romance.
So we went to them for funding. Well, basically it went to Brett Harrison, and from Brett Harrison it went to former CFTC Commissioner Wetjen, who's their policy head at FTX, and they sat on it forever. And so our politician, one of our main politicians, called them and was like, "What are you doing? Why are you sitting on this?" And he was like, well, actually, we were going to sit on it forever. We were never going to do anything with it. So they were sabotaging us. They were trying to slow our bill down because of what they're doing. It's total opposite of what SBF was doing. And he said, by the way, we're also trying to create this federal bill license. We want you to come work for us. Try to steal my person from me. And it got personal. Like, will you try to steal from me? I think people know at this point, I don't have empty promises or empty threats here. Like, if you piss me off, I'm coming after you. And this is what happened to Sam. He underestimated me from this point. And we went out and we started sounding the alarm bells on this federal bill license. And so, it was through doing that, like I said, that eventually when he starts coming out, here's something that's interesting, a very interesting detail about this, which is I made a video about 2 weeks after SBF or after I found out. I found out about this on September 18th. It was actually the day I was flying back from Alaska for my moose kill up there.
Right.
My moose kill that I found out about all this. And so it took about 2 weeks for me to get the I don't want to say courageousness because like I would have done it, but I didn't want to expose our people. I didn't want to expose how quick this is definitely how I found out was because the person told us that talked to them.
Right.
And so I make the video about the federal bit licensing, exactly what they're trying to do. And I make the point, they're coming after decentralization. They're coming after peer-to-peer. That's what they want because all of the centralization benefits Sam. And so I did that. The next day after I made that video, Brett Harrison steps down, right, from FTX. I think he got fired by Sam because he was involved in this. He was part of the trail that led us to this information. WetGen, by the way, is now deleted his Twitter. He doesn't even exist anymore.
That seems to be a thing, though, deleting and trying to get away from ties to SBF and FTX.
Right. Dan Friedberg, he's another one. He deleted his LinkedIn. So the whole thing is, man, when I call people out, they get deleted. How about that? We don't cancel people. We have them deleted. So anyway, so the next day, Brett Harrison steps down. Then the next day after that, he follows me on Twitter. So they're watching. Sam puts out his little thing about the politics. He specifically says in that last tweet, he says, oh, and by the way, I fully support decentralization and peer-to-peer transactions. That was direct response to what I've been saying. That was direct response to my videos. And that was the thing that people were like, wait a second. Why is he even saying that? Doesn't make sense. They went and read what he posted. It was like, no, it's not decentralization friendly. Then he goes on the debate with Eric Voorhees, which was really the linchpin that blew all this stuff up. People realized, number one, Sam's an idiot and doesn't understand crypto at all or blockchain at all. And number two, he barely knows how to talk. And number three, oh crap, he's talking about licensure and how a New York bit license didn't work because it was on the state level. He really is trying to do a federal bit license. And that's when all the information came out. So that's kind of our genesis. Now we've got an event in Dubai at the end of the month, last Saturday of the month. We're trying to do the fundraiser for our bill, trying to get the money in to get this happen. We've now got a 501c4 organization. So, people can do these donations without having to worry about, you can do it anonymously, basically is what that allows people to do. If you're scared to speak up against Sam, but you want to donate. So these are the things we're looking at trying to raise the money. It's $3.6 million to raise the entire cost of the bill. We're just trying to raise a little bit to get going, like it's hard to raise $200,000 in this market,
No, I know. So I know.
Yeah.
So when you have to, and I guess I'm just curious about this, when you have to raise money, what is that for?
Well, political support is not free.
So you're basically, in a sense, lobbying to politicians, yes. and I guess greasing people's hands a little bit. They're getting compensated for their time, and
they're working for you.
Yeah,
they're working for you in a sense.
You're hiring them.
Yeah, and you're getting the contract with a lobbying company, and the money is. This is the way politics work. This is not. Why do you think all these politicians are always trying to raise money all the time? It's not free. Politics are not free. It certainly is a high dollar game. What's that?
Definitely a pay-to-play game.
You said it, not me.
Yeah.
But it does cost money to do politics for sure.
Yeah, and it is something that I've talked to you privately about wanting to get more involved with. So I definitely want to talk with you more about that. The SBF.
Well, if you'll ever come to my studio, Rice.
I know I'm supposed to. I guess I have to wait till after the beginning of the year because you're traveling. You've got Dubai, Miami.
December, I'm maybe doing one small thing in December that will be pretty cool. But outside of that, December is pretty free if you want to come down.
Okay.
We're always waiting on you, Rice.
I know.
Every day we have a sign that says it's been this many days since Rice promised to come to the studio.
I don't believe you, but I'll definitely come down.
Okay. We love you.
Any of the FTX, I love you too, man. Any of this FTX legislation is any of that out in the public domain where it could be like the verbiage can be read?
No, because number one, they softened the language after we put out the video, so it was a little bit different. Because I know people that had seen the original drafts and they said they changed it after I put it out. So we're making a difference, you know. But the whole thing is right now it's not in its final form. You know, we're basically waiting on the DCCAP to get put out in whatever form it will originally be voted on. But don't be confused here. And that won't be until January because we've got all these lame ducks in there right now.
Yeah.
So it still won't be the final version of the bill when it goes into law. So there's a lot of people, and it's so irritating being on the side and like really understanding politics a little bit more than your average person out there because I've been doing it now. These reporters that put these stories out, like I saw some from the Block, you know, saw some from Decrypt, I think Decrypt, but definitely from the Block, definitely from CoinDesk, definitely Cointelegraph, putting out these articles like they're still trying to rush through the Sam Bankman-Fried regulations. Like, no, they were doing this bill before Sam Bankman-Fried even got involved in it. He was in their ears trying to tweak some of the language and some of the parts of the bill.
Yeah.
So, you know, what it's going to look like, well, I guarantee you his influence won't be on it anymore. He's toxic. Run as far away from that man as possible is what the politicians want to do. So anything that actually ends up in that bill is not going to be from Sam because he's already told us what the language and what wording he was going to use. People are going to look for that. The DCCAP is an important bill and it needs to be passed. What we're aiming to do is for our bill to become an amendment in that bill. So therefore, we want it passed. But what we're doing will actually, it will solve all the problems around these things we're talking about because we won't have people in there making decisions on selfishness or what, like where they are their own consensus, right? From going forward on this crypto regulation, there's going to have to be consensus on what it should or should not look like in the future. Right now, we don't. We're just barely to the point where we could put a body together that could be just educated enough on crypto to be able to make some of these decisions around things like DeFi. So, you know, this is what we're aiming to do, try to change the way that it's legislated and regulated. We're trying to take, in a sense, this will take a lot of the power away from the SEC. It will kneecap their ability to be able to operate the way they're operating now. So I think everybody in crypto will be in favor of that. So excited to do this event in Dubai and get this money raised so we can get this thing public so I can stop saying like, oh, just wait, we're going to tell you about it. Like it sucks, you know, but it's hard to raise the money.
I think I've heard you talked about like some kind of crypto advocacy group of people and individuals to stand up on a national stage, international stage, and talk.
International probably is what it's
going to be. What is that going to be consisting of? Do you have any more information?
We don't know yet, but we're doing it. Like it's one of these things where it's like we got to make sure that we're not just saying ideas and letting them sit because things get better in a short amount of time. You know, like if the crypto markets bounce back by next month and we're back above $20,000 again, doesn't look like we're going to bottom again. I think we're going to bottom this month or next month. But then after that, if things start going up in the right direction, everybody's going to forget about this. And then all the people that come in for the next bull run, the majority of them want FTX. What is that? Like that's what will happen, right? We've seen it, but nobody in 2017 really knew what Mt. Gox was. You know, it's like when all the people came in, even though Mt. Gox was 10 times worse than FTX, it handled 90% of the transactions in Bitcoin at the time. 90%, poof, gone overnight. So yeah, we've been through this before. But the whole thing is we got to stay focused on creating some kind of an alliance. We've been reviewing there's somebody that we know that has put out some standards privately, some standards of what this kind of needs to look like in regards to exchanges involvement, NFT involvement, you know, crypto project involvement, influencer involvement. And so we're kind of looking at that. Our goal right now is to raise the money for our bill. Once we get that money raised, our next focus is going to be on, you know, creating this alliance. You can kind of think of it as, I don't want to borrow the words here. I am going to borrow the words there. I hope nobody tries to look. If somebody brings this idea out from under us and it's done right, then whatever. We're trying to create the UN of crypto. That's what we're trying to create.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, we definitely need to see a coming together, some standards that work for the positivity of the space and the growth of the space and the ideologies that I think that cryptocurrency and blockchain represent, especially with our right to privacy.
Yeah.
You also, I think, one more thing with the SBF FTX thing, I think I'd heard you mentioning as well that you're going to be putting together kind of an evidence
Yeah.
information packet for different content creators and influencers. Can you
And
expand
also
upon
for the
that?
DOJ as well. Yeah.
Oh, and for the DOJ.
Yeah.
Cool. Can you expand about when that might be coming out?
We're starting putting some of it together now. We're trying to get it where we're not giving everybody everything. So we can kind of make sure that, you know, we're not like showing favoritism to one influencer or the other or something like that. We're trying to create something to where people are able to see the evidence and put out what we really want is for people to see the evidence is real. And this is what we've been telling people for months. And, you know, Rise, it's, you know, I get a hard time on social media. It's been a lot better the last month. But, you know,
yeah, you're a glutton for punishment, my friend.
nobody gets criticized like I do on social media. And it's been very rewarding to feel like, you know, you get a little bit of redemption and people are able to really see who you are. And I feel like this last month is really demonstrated that. But, you know, when you look back at all the turmoil on social media, you know, people kept saying things like, BitBoy doesn't really have anything. Oh, if he had it, he put it out, blah, blah, blah. No, we got it all. Like, that's why I've been so confident. That's why I felt so confident going after Sam directly, because I know what we have and I know that it's real and I know that it's damning. And we've released a little bit of it on videos here and there. When people see the whole package, it's going to be insane. Audio recordings, video recordings, text messages, emails, directing people to literally destroy evidence.
Right.
Like, that's a crime. Like, there's no doubt about that. Counterfeiting, RICO laws, racketeering, tax evasion, wire fraud, like all of this stuff, we have proof of. It's just a matter of us collecting more. I want more because we're right now, we have several projects where we're able to show the proof. I know there's a lot more. Alameda there's a list of 18 projects, including Sandbox, and including
I saw that.
Yeah, I can't remember any of the other. They're all escaping me right now. BitDAO, Bow Finance, all of these projects were on the list of 18 tokens that Alameda was shorting, and I know those projects have some stories to tell too. So I'm
Gala Games, I think, was on that
Which
list.
One?
Gala.
Yeah, Gala, right? Immutable X. They
Yeah.
were on there as well. I told Gala, you're more than welcome to come on my channel if they want to come talk about what Alameda did to them. So we want to collect more evidence, and here's why. If you look at what happened with CZ and Sam, what was Sam's biggest mistake? His biggest mistake in going against CZ was swinging at the champ and missing. When you swing at the champ, you can't miss. And so certainly nobody calls SBF the champ anymore. But when we swing at him, it's going to be a done deal. There's going to have to be a total willful denial of clear evidence. And fortunately, because of the voice that we have and the platform that I have in crypto, they're not going to be able to hide it because the people on Twitter are going to have it too. And so it's not going to be like, well, you know, I already saw some people in my chat yesterday, you know, so this guy was in there constantly with propaganda. He said, oh, these videos, you got their deep fakes. They're deep fakes. They're not possibly real. It's more logical to think that someone did a deep fake of 25 videos to try to demonstrate what we already know FTX has been doing. Like that's not reasonable, right? It's more reasonable to believe somebody deep fake that than it's real. Like, that's insane thinking. That's somebody that's paid off by SBF. He's paid off a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I know. And, you know, definitely keep me up to date. And when you do start releasing this information on evidence, you know, I'd love to get some of that to be able to share with everyone as well. To be respectful of your time, the last thing I want to touch on, and this has been a big question. We've talked a little bit about this, but there's been other information that's kind of transpired since. Why XRP? Why Ripple? Why is Ben Armstrong so supportive of this particular cryptocurrency project?
The one that you love and you would give your life for.
That seems to be a banker's coin trying to work with the legacy system, not necessarily replace it.
One piece of it, sure.
So yeah, I'm just curious. I know you talked about the actual XRP army in the community, which I know that's an awesome thing, but then we got to look at the ideologies of the company and the people. So I'm curious, why XRP?
Well, if you listen to Brad Garlinghouse is an OG in the space, and he really supports decentralization. He supports a lot of what we support, almost exclusively supports what we support. The only difference would be he has a centralized company and XRP is fluid to work with banks, and people don't like that. And I get it. I understand why people have that viewpoint, but I would say a lot of the things that people think about XRP is because at some point down the previously down the road, they decided they didn't like it, and so they just made a blanket statement on whatever negative I hear about. I'm going to believe that, and I'm not going to take in new information or change my mind on it. Right? Do we think that banks are going away in the next 10 years? Like, do we really think that? Do we think banks are going to disappear in the next 10 years?
Not banks.
It'd be great if they did.
But banking as we know it, I think, will change. But banks won't go away.
Right. And so when you really look at what XRP is doing, like I really encourage people to look at what is XRP. It's a network of value. What is Bitcoin? A network of value. What is Swift? A network of information. Really, if you look at what XRP is doing, is trying to replace the status quo that a lot of other stuff in crypto is trying to do. All it's trying to do is make international cross-border settlements faster. Is that really that bad? Is that really that bad? Or are they really putting banks in such a much higher position than crypto that like this is the way the banks win? And that's the way a lot of anti-XRP people will try to spin it. But that's just not true. They're trying to upgrade a system and an infrastructure that's slow within the banking system.
Now, everything you said, I can 100% get on board and agree with, whether or not that I support the project or not. And I'm definitely going to support them in regards to going against the SEC.
Absolutely.
And I know you mentioned the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But when the SEC case, let's say, is done with it, are you still going to be very much a big proponent of XRP? And the one thing that I want to add is, since me and you have really talked about this specifically, the Ripple has become a partner with the World Economic Forum, and I think Brad Garlinghouse has some sort of chair capacity as well. I'm not really a big fan of that, knowing what the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and what their agenda seems to be. What are your thoughts just on the whole Ripple and partnership with the World Economic Forum?
Okay, well, let's look at this. If I got offered a seat on the World Economic Forum, you think I would take it?
Before I even answer that, I want to say someone that we both respect, Charles Hoskinson. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he made a video about a year ago saying that he was no longer going to participate in going to Davos and anything World Economic Forum related.
Well, was he on the board of the World Economic Forum?
No, he was not on the board.
Okay. So it's apples and oranges here. I'm going to ask you again, Rice. If I was offered the opportunity to sit on the board of the WEF, what do you think I would say?
Knowing you would say yes.
I would say abso-freaking-lutely.
And you'd want to see right by Mr. Klaus.
I would be right next to Klaus, because Klaus ain't going nowhere. Neither am I. I don't know if I'd go after Klaus the same way I went after SBF, but maybe we'll see. I've been known to.
If you built the army big enough,
instead
of Project Mayhem, it could be Project BitBoy.
So look, I understand the beef there, and look, this is where we get into this world of crypto where everything is just so sloppy, and this is why I'm not willing to make a judgment call and say, because Ripple partnered with the World Economic Forum, that I'm going to pull out of it for sure. We're very anti-WEF. Now, WEF, if you want me on the board, I'll come on. A snake in the hen house. I would love to be part of that. I've had some speaking opportunities come up that are probably going to happen, to where I'm going to be speaking to some people that totally are the antithesis of what's in crypto. But how else are we ever going to convert those people?
I get that. I totally get that. But being on a chairman on and speaking to people is two different things.
Understood. So, but the idea is, we want to really start dicing this down. Okay. Digital currency group, right? Like you're always going. Here's what the point I'm trying to make. You're always going to run into conflicts of interest here in crypto. You're just going to.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: a project I assume you at least one time supported, Basic Attention Token, Brave browser.
Yeah.
Supported by Digital Currency Group. Right.
No, I know.
So, right. Conflict of interest.
Yeah, it is.
So you look at Coinbase and Ripple. So how about this? How about on behalf of Ripple? One of the amicus briefs that was filed was from the Blockchain Association with Jake Travinsky, who's thought to be somebody really great in the space. I think he is great in space. I have nothing against him. I think he's a good guy. I think the Blockchain Association is generally good. Do you know their major supporter? digital currency.
Yeah, I know they have their hands in pretty much most everything.
They got their hands in everything. So if you're really going to make these kind of decisions on, once again, go back to this idea of if you take a shot, don't take a shot where you're going to miss. Don't swing and miss. If I'm going to make a philosophical decision, definitely not to support something permanently, I need to make sure that it's ironclad and I really understand the motives and I really understand that there is a bad reason that happened. Okay. FTX was partnered with the WF. They scrubbed them real quick. That alone would not have been enough for me to totally not support FTX. It took me looking into the soul of Sam Bankman-Fried and seeing the kind of person he was. If I look into the soul of Brad Garlinghouse and I come to realize I think he's a bad person, I will not support Ripple anymore. And that's what this boils down to. I'm not going to make these conflict of interest decisions because I understand these arguments you're making. And I just as easily could have came out on the other side of it. But what has really propelled me further into this is, number one, the hatred of the SEC, the most useless, corrupt organization in the history of the world.
Right.
Number two is the Ripple community. The XRP army is so they're so fun and they really believe in everything that they're doing. And they're the most, nobody cares about their coin out as much as Cardano and Ripple and XRP. Cardano and the XRP army, they love their communities more than anything, and they want to push things forward, and you got to respect that. And so somewhere along the lines, I've fallen into the XRP army, and I really support those people. And so at the end of the day, whether or not Ripple supports the WEF or not, I'm looking at friends around the space, and I'm like, they're really dependent on, is this project going to make it? They put everything in here, and I want them to succeed. And so it's just kind of that conflict between on personal levels and individual levels, and then greater kind of corporate levels where you're making decisions where it comes to philosophy. And I think I've been pretty clear here about where I make the distinction and where I don't. The leadership is very important to me. And I think Brad is a good person. I really do believe that. I think Brad really wants what's best for crypto. He's actually become one of my heroes in the space. I mean, I'm a grown man. I don't really have heroes, but he's someone that I do look up to in crypto. I do believe has the right ideas and the right motives for what needs to happen in crypto, regardless of whether he does own a centralized company, which centralized companies are not the devil, right?
No, I know. There's a time and place for centralization.
Exactly. So we'll see. Now, look, if I thought this was an epic battle between crypto and Ripple, and if Ripple wins, then crypto goes away and everything goes away to the banker, we would be having a different conversation. But I don't believe that. I do believe that really Ripple and XRP is a tool, or are tools, to be able to upgrade the current financial system for banks. That doesn't make the banks win. It just makes things faster in the world. It makes the economy run faster. So, and then in addition to that, I had one more point I was going to make about that, XRPL. You also have the XRPL, which is totally distributed, totally, decentralized. They have NFTs, and the community has a lot of fun on there. You can do anything on the XRPL in a roundabout way that you can do on other chains. So you're going to see the development of the XRPL as well. And you're going to see there is a decentralized side of XRP, a decentralized side, of Ripple that is going to open the door for a lot of good things.
Well said, man. And I appreciate you taking the time to really explain that. And that's one of the cool things that I like about you and other people in the space that I call peers. When we don't necessarily see eye to eye, we can have a really civil conversation about those disagreements. And I think people can learn from that. So I will encourage people to make sure that they pre-order your book, Catching Up to Crypto. Everything that we talk about is going to be linked down below. If they're not subscribed to your YouTube channel, I definitely encourage them to do so. Follow you on Twitter to stay updated with all the stuff that you're doing in regards to the FTX stuff and what you're doing in politics. Do you have any final thoughts, anything you want to add before we wrap up today?
Yeah, let's all fight together. This battle's only beginning. This is not the end of this. Now it's up to us. The rubble has been strewn, and it's up to us together as the leaders in crypto and the people that really have decentralized mindsets, to be able to come together and rebuild the space and reform it and reshape it in the way that we believe that it needs to look.
Awesome, my friend. Well, thanks again for your time. Bear with me now. Just do the quick wrap up. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for tuning in. If you haven't smashed that like button, I definitely encourage you to do so. Links will be down below for everything we talked about. Make sure you subscribe to Rice TVX and my new channel, Rice Against the Grain. And I'll leave you with this. Be a blessing to others. Treat people how you want to be treated. Be the glitch you want to see in the matrix. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Practice change. Now, until next time, much love.